What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. The Advanced Player's Guide playtest is out. Not one, not two, not three, but 4 new classes, almost all of which are going to be someone's Gestalt in Age of Ashes. And yeah, we're gonna talk about them. First up, it's the Witch. If you're liking what you see, and like, subscribe, and ding that bell. Today, this episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship was brought to you in part by Michael Baker. Thanks for your help, Ben. Here we go. Okay, so we're not gonna talk about every Witch feat. This is just a quick overview from what I'm looking at here in this PDF. Yeah, we've probably got 4 episodes of min-maxing for fun and profit, don't we? First things first, I don't know if this has been stated somewhere, but as I count the tails on Feya's familiar, and I count them to 9, and I see Kilala from Inuyasha, and I also see what is in Pathfinder a Kitsune, I wonder if Feya might actually be a Kitsune now. The Oracle is a Tengu. Feya did have Tien ancestry. Wouldn't be the weirdest thing ever, but in Pathfinder 1st Edition, the Witch was, in my opinion, alongside the Shaman, the 2 Tier 0 classes. Fortune, Misfortune, Cackle, Slumber, and you've skewed the RNG in your favor so hard that you are almost destined to win. I've been looking forward to the Witch coming out in Pathfinder for a while, because I wanted to see if the Witch was going to be as frankly blatantly overpowered. In 2nd edition, again, without trying to optimize it, I'm not so sure, but we are still looking at a full intelligence-based caster, and I just want to say real quick, called this one the Witch's Patron, that dark and mysterious something or other that provides their spells. Yeah, in fact, will draw from more than one spell list based on your first lesson. Eventually, your greater and major lessons can flavor out the first one a little bit, so it's not like a one path kind of thing, but the lesser one does choose your casting tradition. As of right now, the lesson of Curses, Fate, Night give us Occult, Snow, well, in case you wanted to play Elsa, there it is, and Life give you Primal, Protection and Deceit give you Arcane, and there's no reason we couldn't expect to see a Divine casting tradition in there as we move on. And those spells still come from our Familiar, who is a direct gift from our patron and more powerful than the average bear. The Familiar gets an extra Familiar ability and additional Familiar abilities as you tick up in level, and it still gives you your spells. It can still learn new spells by playing with someone else's Familiar or eating a spell book, and if your Familiar gets killed, a new Familiar automatically appears during your next daily prep. This one knows less spells. After a week, it will fully re-up and have everything you had before, minus 1 spell per level chosen randomly. Don't get your dog killed. Simple enough. All witches will be getting the cackle action right out the gate, so that's terrifying. For 1 action, auditory and sonic, with the requirement you have at least 1 spell active that has a sustained duration and affects 1 or more targets, and you are not fatigued, you get the effect of sustaining a spell with 1 or more targets of the spell, as long as the targets can hear you cackle. As with sustaining, if you do it for more than 10 minutes or 100 rounds, the spell ends and you're exhausted from ha 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 for 10 minutes. Unless the spell has a different max duration, if your cackle is disrupted, the spell immediately ends. Now, I don't know much about the spellcasting of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, but what I do know is that seems to be really good to archetype in or out of if you're going to play something that's going to be sustaining spells. I'm sure there's plenty of spells out there or spells that will be released that synergize with that real well. Like, I don't know, witch hexes. There's a billion of them. We're not going in all of them right now for the same reason we're not going to talk about your prehensile hair, except for the fact that it is here again. With the exception of one, with the exception of Nudge Fate. We used to call this one Fortune and Misfortune, and it was why the Witch was so overpowered, because they could give someone advantage or disadvantage forever. In 2nd Edition, for 2 actions, a range of 30 feet targeting 1 creature, will save sustained up to a minute, or cackle it up. You target the strands of fate, aiding an ally or hampering a foe. Choose either Fortune or Misfortune in 1 type of roll, attack roll, saving throw, skill check, or perception. On the target's next roll of that type, while the spell persists, they must roll twice. If you chose Fortune, the target uses the better, and this effect gains the Fortune trait. If you chose Misfortune, they must use the worst. Unless they succeeded a will save, it gains the Misfortune trait. The spell then ends and the target is immune for 24 hours. That particular hex is given to us via the Lesson of Fate. So you'll be an occult caster if you get this, which seems to make sense to me. And right now we don't see any means of sending that out any farther, but it is there. I was curious if the witch was going to be able to replace the halfling. I still think halfling luck is just a little better, given that as it stands right now, it's not necessarily a once per day, but this is really nice. But what are we thinking, guys? Are we rolling witches? Do witches get stitches in Pathfinder 2nd Edition? Let me know in the comments. The next 4 videos that come out on this channel that are not live plays, that have been uploaded for a while, are going to be the 4 classes of this playtest and min-maxing for fun and profit for the next month. We'll be breaking these down in more detail. Looking forward to it. See y'all next time.